Cool. All right. Hi everyone, it's Rich, and today I'm going to talk about subjectivity. More specifically, I'm going to argue that everything is subjective. Okay. So let me explain. I'm going to explain what I mean by this. When I say that something is subjective, I mean that it's dependent on a mind. Its existence is dependent on a mind. It's dependent on perception itself. That is what subjective means to me. All right. So everything we perceive, everything around us, from this chair in my living room to this painting behind me, I can never verify that it exists objectively because I am constrained by my subjective nature. All right? So I am a conscious creature. I am, by definition, a subjective being. Now, I'm not saying that absolutely nothing objective exists, because something must exist, right? I can say that something exists because if it didn't, I couldn't make this video. So existence itself is required for me to make this video. It's required for me to formulate these ideas to begin with. So at least my consciousness itself exists. Now, I may not know much about the nature of my consciousness, but I know that it must exist for me to formulate these ideas. Okay, so something exists. So what implications does that have for my argument? Well, what it means is that when I say everything is subjective, I can't really include everything in the definition of everything. So it depends what I mean when I say everything. Now, when I say everything, I do not mean every possible thing. When I say everything, I mean everything that we can perceive. Now, the thing is, if I define everything that way, it becomes a very trivial statement. To say that everything is subjective is to say that everything I perceive is dependent of my perception. And that's quite a trivial statement. And that is essentially what I'm saying in this video. That everything we perceive is dependent on our perception. Now, the reason I'm making a video about this is that it does not strike me as trivial. At least not the way people talk about subjectivity and objectivity in today's society. You see, when people use these terms, they usually don't... They mean, so for example, when we talk about objectivity, we usually refer to something with a very strong, rational foundation. For example, science, right? Science is said to be objective, unbiased. Science is what it is, independent of our minds. Well, that is not the case. Science is very much subjective, just like everything else that we can possibly perceive. The chair in my living room, again, I can never verify that it exists or has the attributes that I think it does, because I am a subjective being and I am constrained by my subjective nature. As soon as I observe something, its objective nature is distorted. And I will never be able to give an objective account of anything. I think that's what I'm trying to say in this video. And when I say that everything is subjective, I mean everything that we can possibly interact with, everything that has meaning to us, right? even abstract concepts. Because they're a product of our minds, right? For an abstract concept to exist, it requires a mind to conceive these concepts. As such, they are dependent on the existence of a mind. Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say. Alright, so as a side note, this is my first unscripted video, and I'm not sure my argument is sound. Well, I'm not sure it's valid. That's what I was trying to say. So you see, when you don't script your videos, they may not end up the way you envisioned them. So I don't really have a script to rely on. I've just pressed record, and yeah, I think I like that format better because it's more genuine. It reflects who I am in a better light. But yeah, it does give room for a lot of mistakes that I cannot or will not correct. But that's fine. So anyway, that was a side note. So everything is subjective, right? Including the quality of this video. So if you perceive it to be valuable in any way, then give it a like. Also, interact with me, give me a comment. Subscribe if you'd like to see more of these unscripted videos. Alright, yeah, and as always, until next time, always be thinking.